Well, guys, we've got another round of mass layoffs, and this time it's over at the real estate software company Zillow. You've probably heard of them. Basically, anytime I go to buy a home or am looking at property values and different sorts of information, I'm going to Zillow. You've heard of it, you love it, and well, they're going through a big round of layoffs. They actually just fired 7% of their staff. That's over 500 employees. And no, that's not because the company is crashing out and losing money and they need to throw staff overboard to stay afloat. Actually, not even close. Zillow is crushing it. When I saw the numbers of what's happening at Zillow, I was shocked. Their Q1 revenue increased 18% year over year. But get this, guys, this company is insanely profitable. Their net income jumped from 8 million to 46 million. Guys, that is an improvement of 475%. That is a shocking net income. I was shocked. For your net income to go up 475%, somebody's getting a raise over there. Maybe it's an AI bot, maybe it's a human, maybe it's a guy, we don't actually know for sure. But what I do want to kind of go into at the tail end of this video is where all that margin came from, where all that net income came from. But hold that thought. I want to get into kind of what's happening with the layoffs over there, because again, on this channel, we really want to focus on how do we stay afloat in the AI age. I was just in a mastermind group earlier this morning, and some of the guys there, these are like big time operators in the area doing millions of dollars, talking about how, well, we're probably about 5 years out from Tesla Optimus robots actually doing repairs on your home. And I still think it's a little bit farther out than that, but that's what they think. What do you think? How soon until Optimus robots are actually in homes doing the work that guys like you and I used to do? I think we're a little bit farther out, but I don't know, we will see. Anyway, put that in the comments below. Anyway, this is the largest layoff of the year for this real estate group. And Zillow actually told GeekWire the cuts were not driven by AI, which I thought was interesting considering AI has equated for about 25% of layoffs to this point this year. Zillow says it is not impacting their decision, although hold that thought, I think that they might be hiding the ball a little bit. Anyway, they said it's not AI. They said, quote, today's changes are about better positioning Zillow for the path ahead, which includes having the right people in the right roles and being able to move faster. And to be honest, when you're seeing huge increases in margins, you're probably going to see some things shifted around. And again, we're going to talk about that in a moment. Anyway, the warrant notice, which they filed with the government, the warrant filing shows some positions are actually being relocated or contracted out, which is something that we've talked about here on the channel, something that I've really advocated. I think all guys like us should have some sort of side income, LLC, contractor sort of agreement for a few reasons. And first of all, companies you're more attractive to be hired if you can work as an independent contractor or as an LLC, because they don't have to pay you the same types of benefits, healthcare, and so on and so forth that they might have to pay an employee. And as a contractor, you become more attractive. So that is something we've seen in the past, companies going through big layoffs, laying off employees, and then hiring back contractors. Is it 1099? You're not going to get the same benefits from the employer, but you are able to write off certain expenses. Like I'm able to write off, cell phone, internet. I work from home, so I'm able to write off a portion of my home expenses. And so there's some different advantages and benefits that you can get. I'm not going to go into all the tax benefits. You should probably speak to an accountant or at least to your chat GPT. But regardless, this gives you by being your own independent contractor, having your side hustle, it gives you some tax benefits, it gives you some flexibility, and it also makes you more attractive to employers. So anyway, that is something I think to consider. And I think most guys, you should be thinking about that. Depending on your state, the rules can change. Anyway, just because Zillow says that that this layoff isn't AI related does not mean that AI has nothing to do with it, right? Zillow has declared that they are becoming an AI native company, quote unquote, AI native company. And quite frankly, they're going through a retraining of many employees. And again, back to the contractor example, retraining employees is very expensive, especially if you're retraining them in AI. The reality is, like, most of your competition out there in the job market, in the company, these guys have no freaking clue how to use AI properly. If you're actually able to leverage, if you're able to speak AI literacy, if you understand concepts and MCPs and APIs and some of just the basic stuff you can learn on Google and on YouTube, you become much more hireable. Not to mention, if you actually have receipts and things that you've built with AI, which is something you absolutely should have. I'm going to be putting on a presentation for a group of guys here in a few weeks. Please believe AI is going to be fundamental in designing that interactive presentation. And I think that that's something it's just super easy to put together. And I like to use Claude as my brain and then use other tools as the hands and the feet and the appendages, the tools to actually execute on what my Claude brain is doing. Anyway, we had an interesting blog article written up by the CEO of Zillow, Jeremy Waxman, and he wrote this blog that came up with a lot of the, kind of like common platitudes, very PR centric. Helping, our vision is to help make a home reality for every person, and that they need to restructure the work to be more efficient and, this kind of stuff. Kind of like not really being very specific, just being kind of like broad, ooey gooey type of feeling where if you're actually on that layoff, you're like, oh, shut the heck up. I'm being fired because of XYZ. The company profit goes up, you're firing me, what the heck? I don't know. I would much rather someone just be straightforward and be like, hey, we're laying you off because we just don't need your department anymore, your positions. Personally, I didn't love the press release. I didn't love it, but he wrote it. It was very politically correct. But what I found humorous is while he made no mention of AI, and while the company has made no mention of AI playing an impact this round of layoffs, the blog article itself was filled with M dashes. And you and I both know that M dashes are like a pretty obvious way of stating that AI wrote this. I mean, one of the things that I do when I'm getting blogs written up and when I have my VAs and my team members working on blogs and written work, I always say, go in and remove the M dashes. Heck, I tell AI to not write the M dashes and it still does it. Do you feel me? Am I doing something wrong? Like, how are you getting the M dashes out of the copywriting from these AI models? Because it seems like no matter what I do, there's always going to be some M dashes in there. Regardless, his blog article, and by the way, blog article, not very long. It took about 3 minutes for me to read it, and it had a number of M dashes. So I just kind of thought it was funny. It's like, no, we don't need you. We're just laying people off. It's not because of AI, although AI wrote up my entire blog article for me. I'm like, Jeremy, dude, this is the biggest layoff of the year. You couldn't put a little bit of humanity into it. It should be like a really generic AI sounding article. Anyway, that was, I thought, interesting. Now, I think a big part of this, and I think a big lesson that we can take from the channel, which by the way, if you haven't subbed, this is a good time to subscribe. We're actually trying to figure out what is needed for guys like us to be relevant, respected, and financially free in this new world, because the jobs we're doing now are not gonna be the jobs we're doing in the future. But in any way, I want to get back to the profit story, because I think this is important, because listen, we're going to get hired where we can provide a return on investment, and the reality is with Zillow, the return on investments have dramatically shifted roles. They had an 18% revenue increase, but a 475% net income increase. Net income, AKA, means profit. That means they had some particular departments that were hugely profitable. And again, at first, I thought that AI might be the lever. They're just using AI so good that they become much more profitable. That's not actually the case. Their mortgage revenue increased 56%, and their rental revenue increased 42%. These are the major levers where they were very profitable, was in their mortgages and in their rental unit increases. So it's interesting to me, a company like Zillow that really got their bread and butter around being kind of like helpful for finding rentals and finding properties that are on sale and real estate information and data. I know some guys who have leveraged all the data on Zillow and floated into their AI tools using API connections and things like that. I think it's something that realtors are doing. In any event, what's interesting about Zillow, and I think what's actually happening here, the big story here is Zillow found a couple verticals that are highly profitable, and there are some verticals that are not profitable. And so the guys and the girls and the people, the AI bots that are in these unprofitable verticals of the organization, essentially they're being let go and being outsourced to cheaper options. And then the parts of the organization that are profitable, they're saying, holy cow, we've hit the golden goose here with huge revenue increases, very profitable. Let's shift more resources into there. And obviously, we've been talking about fintech and AI. This is a place where AI really shines in assessing risk, looking at large data points. So anyway, I think that's really important and something that we should be thinking about when we try to position ourselves inside of organizations. AI first, solving a new wave of problems, not focusing on old problems, so focusing on the new problems where we can be innovative and interesting. So anyway, I hope you guys liked the video today. I just rolled out a new feature, guys, because I talked about this the other day. We're getting to a point where it's just hard for me to respond to all the comments that are coming in. I do my best, it's hard. I've increased, or we've added a membership part of the community. Guys, the membership community I'm very excited about. It's a way for, if you enjoy the videos, if you appreciate the videos coming to you, you can give back a little bit back into the channel to help us grow it out, to find new opportunities. We're gonna be doing member shout-outs. We're gonna have priority replies on comments, so it makes it easier for me to get to your comments. We'll even be doing custom member-only shorts and reels. So if you're a member, you're gonna get shout outs on the videos. If you're a member, you're gonna get specific reels where I can actually talk directly to you and just really grow out what I think is an important community. And I see a lot of AI communities, but I don't see a lot of AI communities that are directly talking to the guys. And one of the things that I hear often when it comes to the next wave of AI is going to disproportionately impact women. And, I'm not saying that women aren't going to be impacted. I got a wife, I got a daughter, I see that. But what's not being talked about is how impactful it's going to be to men. This is why I started this channel in the first place, is because guys like you and me are, a lot of our purpose, a lot of our value in the marketplace, our ability to find women and be valuable members of our society is based on the value that we bring. And if all that value is extracted because it's being replaced by AI, that is huge. That's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. So anyway, support the channel, join below. It's only $10 a month. You're gonna get a lot of different benefits, custom emojis, member shout outs, some different features that we'll be rolling out, special badges as well. And so, and again, I want to grow this. The amount of people that have been returning to watch videos has increased tremendously. And I just want to give you a way of pouring a little bit more in, giving a little bit more insight and input into how this channel and how this community grows and how we can actually impact the world in a positive way. So anyway, join below. Appreciate you very much. And I will check you in the next video. Lots more to come, baby. I'll see you there. Peace.